Good morning. This is John. Yesterday I had a great deal of fun, actually, building a very simple antenna. It's a 20-meter center-fed dipole. Now, 20 meters isn't the length of the antenna. It's the length of the electromagnetic wave that you're trying to receive, the radio wave. So that dipole is half wavelength, so it's close to 10 meters long, 30 feet long. And I was able to string it up last night under the cover of darkness behind the condo. So it's working reasonably well for a dipole that's about maybe 5 feet off the ground, strung up with some rope between two trees. I mean, if you live in a condominium, options are pretty limited, or at least appear limited, for HF radio. So I'm working through some of those things. I'm hoping to buy some property in eastern Washington. We'll see how that works out. But at any rate, this morning I wanted to show you, if the band's still open, that this is working. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my power supply here. This is an mfJ power supply, the mfJ 4230 MVP. It is a switching power supply, which means that it makes DC voltage by turning on and off a pair of transistors really, really fast to try to get the voltage right where it wants it and keep it where it wants it as the demand on the supply fluctuates. That's kind of the job of a power supply, is to provide voltage and current, or provide current at the required voltage, and do it without a lot of ripple, DC current, things like that. So, at any rate, that's the supply. Now let's go and look at the radio and see how that's looking. This is the mcHF QRP rig. Now QRP means low power. This rig, or this transceiver, only does 5 watts maximum. And I'm not going to transmit on it because I don't have my general license yet. I'm taking that exam next Sunday. It's Sunday now, it's Valentine's Day. Next Sunday, I'll be taking that exam, and I think I'm pretty well prepared for it, so I'm not too worried about that. I often have anxiety around exams, but I don't think I'm going to be okay with that. I wonder if I can just do that. Now you don't have the artificial sun in your eyes. So this is the QRP rig. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Let's see, power supply says a little bit under 13.8 volts. That's good. Here we come. And here we are. I've already set this up. We are on the 20-meter band, which is 14 megacycles. Old school speak, megahertz for you youngsters. But it's kind of neat. So let's go ahead and tune around a little bit. You can see the waterfall here. So I'm kind of excited to see this because last night the band was dead. A lot of bands are kind of depend on solar, the sun ionizing. Oh, there's some maybe ready type signals. Some of these signals are digital. On the ham bands, they have a number of different ways of encoding digital information. So we can still go up here in the band, up to 350, I think, 14.350.
The new normal now, that's like not even close. It's like
So, I'm pleased that this worked out. I haven't tuned the antenna yet. So, is it better than a random long wire? It beats me. Don't know, It's a dipole. I think it's insulated and everything else. It's roughly the right length. I left a few feet extra on both ends so that I could tune it. But in order to tune it, I need to get what's called an antenna tuner, which is a little box. It's going to sort of look like the power supply to some degree. It'll have a meter. And what you're trying to do is make the impedance match. And impedance is AC, resistance to the flow of current. And so what we need to do is make the antenna appear to the radio to be roughly the same impedance as it's looking for, which is nominally 50 ohms. So we'll get the antenna tuner, we'll put it in line. This little feed line here off to the side is where the antenna tuner would go, and then the antenna itself would plug into the other side of the tuner. And it's basically a tuned circuit that you're adjusting to make the antenna appear to be a properly matched load for the transceiver. And that's going to mean changing the length of each arm of the dipole. Ideally, the length should be the same on both arms, I think. And, I'm being overly precise there. Yes, they should be the same, but there might be minor differences between the two arms. And so it's conceivable to me that the antenna might operate best with arms that are not exactly the same length. Who knows? I don't know. And I probably couldn't even see it in the data. So at any rate, I'm excited about this. Had a lot of fun, and fun is important. I listened to a gentleman who's passed away. His name is Alan Watts in the evenings. He calls himself a philosophical entertainer. I like his take on Eastern Eastern philosophies, ancient Indian philosophies. And so I listen to him before I go to bed. And he describes how in the United States or Western culture, we often feel as if we can't just do something because it's fun. We feel the need to justify it in some way. And Watts refers to that under the concept, the Protestant conscience. And my Protestant conscience, even though I don't really consider myself Protestant, I grew up Protestant, Methodist, I guess, actually. I grew up thinking everything had to be justified to some greater end. So it's like I'm building this antenna not because building antennas are fun. I'm building it because I'm increasing my skill stack, and in the future, that'll allow me to be a greater benefit to the world or something like that. I'm not against that, but it's, from my point of view, some things are simply fun too. And building this antenna was fun. I don't know that putting it up was fun. It was pretty cold yesterday. Had a lot of snow here and everything else. But it was fun to get it hooked up. And last night, the bands were dead, the 20-meter band. So I was kind of disappointed because I didn't really hear anything with it. I thought, oh man, this is, what's wrong now? This morning the band's hopping, and I can get on here and tune around and find some conversations. So I got to tell you, I like that. We'll see if there's more here. I don't know how long the bands are going to stay open, but this looks promising. And it's gone. Heck of a nice signal. Guy maybe from Australia. But I have to say, I'm really...
Roger, no. Okay, man. I'll catch you later. If not, I'll see you this afternoon for the JAs. VK2 TXB Whiskey 7 Las Vegas. Cheers.
So I think he said Las Vegas. I'd have to look him up. There's a website called qrz.com that you can go to, and when you hear a call sign, you can look it up and find out where the person is. So, any rate, greatly appreciate your following this, and thank you for being a part of my life in one way or another. Take care. Bye-bye.